Salute, my Quick Classics friends. Hope everybody's doing well today. Um, I posed a question not too long ago on Facebook about the um, traditions of the elves, their guiding principles, and so I thought I would look at a question today. Before I get started, as always, click a like, subscribe, and share if you like the content on Quick Classics. There's always more coming. Okay, so we're going to look at the elves and look at the question: did J R R Tolkien draw inspiration from the classical virtues of the pursuit of truth, beauty, and goodness when he made the guiding principles of the elves um, understanding, making, and healing? Um, Kind of an interesting thing to consider, and it just occurred to me because I recently rewatched the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it made me kind of dig back into some of the source material, like the Silmarillion, and of course all of Tolkien's books. Uh, but you know, I think the answer to that question is that yes, he had to have drawn on the classical virtues because he himself had been classically educated. His early education was in the classics and in Greek and Latin and classical literature and history. And of course, he developed a natural talent, obviously, for languages and the stories and myths of all of Europe, all of the Old World, really, to incorporate that into the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, the Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, all the things that he wrote. And so I think there's a clear connection that can be drawn not only from Tolkien's education and the ideas that he embraced, but also what he found in these other old world European societies. The Anglo-Saxons, the Scandinavians, the Finns, and their respective languages and cultures and mythologies. I think that there are some connections that can be made between those classical virtues and the Elvish guiding principles. Um, the to me the in terms of goodness, beauty, and truth, I think the first one that sort of shines through is the the classical virtue of pursuing what is good. And I think the analogy that can be drawn there um, falls somewhere between um, uh, the guiding principle in the Elvish world of understanding and healing. A case could be made for direct correlation for either of those. Now, as far as the pursuit of truth, I think the closest Elvish analog in the principles would be understanding. And likewise, for the pursuit of beauty, because the elves were renowned for their artwork and their music and lyric poetry and the arts, basically the humanities, uh, um, or maybe not the humanities, but the elvish equivalent. Uh, I think that a clear correlation can be drawn between um, beauty and making. That is the elvish principle of making. Because they were great producers of again not just the arts, the lyric, musical, and visual arts, but they were also great craftsmen. Um, in terms of their architecture and the implements that they made and their weaponry. They were great craftsmen on all fronts there. So again, I think that there's a great case to be made for Tolkien drawing um, his inspiration of the Elvish guiding principles from the classical virtues, the Greek virtues of the pursuit of truth, goodness, and beauty. Um, to me, it's just one of those elements that that stands out in the narrative of Tolkien. And again, when you look at not only his incredible life story, but also his educational background, his educational history, I think it begins to line up that he is in fact um, because his goal with Lord of the Rings, to one extent, was to create a myth for Europe, in particular his corner of Europe, that could be relatable to wide audiences. Um, and so um, I think he cleverly wove that um, into the tapestry, the ornate world building that he did with Lord of the Rings. It's one of the things I think that makes Lord of the Rings so endearing and timeless and a lot of fun to read and get into. Um, so there you have it. I do believe that the answer to the initial question is yes. Tolkien did draw on the classical virtues in crafting, if I can use that word, the guiding principles of the elves. All right, I'll see you again soon on another episode of Quick Classics.